Поколение новое родилось совершенно другое. Они свободные, они ничего не боятся, они не зашоренные. Они талантливые, они просто по-другому воспитаны. И эта энергия новая музыкальная, она уже чувствуется в воздухе. А что касается российской сцены, то сейчас действительно есть некий момент просаживания, и это чувствуется сильно.
Moscow, November 2018. Between a skyline of dramatic Soviet architecture and freezing cold streets, we find a small yet vital underground scene unifying around a common goal. Tirelessly working to reinvent themselves, this tight-knit community of party promoters, DJs, and producers face an increasingly challenging relationship with wider society. The physical climax of these tensions came in August last year with the raid and subsequent closure of Rybitsa, one of the city's most progressive and beloved DIY nightclubs. 1 year on, clubs like Knee, the legendary Armour 17, and a handful of record labels are joining forces to create a lasting home for creative freedom and to help Russian artists overcome a number of logistical, bureaucratic, and societal issues.
I'm Wally Newton. I am here in Moscow for the first time. I'm a music journalist, I'm a DJ, and I'm here to experience the Moscow underground electronic music scene.
We're here as part of Boiler Room and Ballantyne's True Music to get beyond the headlines and meet the people at the heart of this scene. I want to try and understand the issues affecting the community and hear what kind of future they imagine for themselves. After these conversations, we'll work together to build a project that can bring long-term, tangible support to the scene. I'm going to meet Nadia. She's an independent producer who's going to be my guide and will help me navigate this immense city.
Zach? Maybe 3 years ago, it was so many places where you could go, like so many clubs and bars, and, it was flourishing. But now it's just the places, they're just closing one by one. And this is weird because just like last weekend, it was 2 places were closing. And it's so weird. We have like 2 clubs now left in Moscow.
Whoa, 2?
Yes.
The whole of Moscow?
Yeah, I mean, but not for the whole of Moscow, but I mean like 2, like good one.
Nadia got me really curious. She suggested I meet her friend Natasha Rebel, the founder of Armour 17, an experimental night that combines music and art, which Nadia used to help organize. Natasha is considered a trailblazer, and her projects have also been targeted.
Да, сейчас Арма уже не клуб, это некое движение, как мы его называем, потому что мы не имеем конкретных стен уже давно, и лет 5 мы перемещаемся по разным пространствам. И сейчас мы делаем много вечеринок в других странах, и у нас есть лейбл. We found some place for one season, then moved to another, then to another. And then all this shit happened with closing.
What was the shit that happened?
First of all, our festival outline was closed before 1 day from the beginning. And then 5 parties. We tried to organize five more parties during the year. All of them were closed.
All bookings were done. And
all
like the
artists already
the people
arrived.
were in the city, and the day of the event, somebody coming to you and they say, no, you would not have a party tonight.
They give you an excuse? What did they say?
Nothing.
Being shut down like that with no warning, nothing. It's the people then, I'm guessing, that make this feel like, okay, I can do it again. So tell us what's going to take place here.
Я вижу его как такой не столько как клуб, как многофункциональный арт-центр. Выйти из зоны маргинальности, скажем так. Вывести эту культуру из зоны маргинальности, в которой она сейчас находится в общественном мнении и в мнении властей.
Meeting this woman was incredible. She's a true visionary who is able to inspire young people to create. Armour 17 now enjoys international success outside the confines of Russia. It's a real contrast with the struggle it continues to face on home turf, which highlights, while underground culture lacks value and recognition here, it's finding it in other places. Another pillar for Moscow Underground was Rybitsa, In August 2017, it was the subject of a violent raid that made headlines on major news websites around the world. Sergei Gologov was one of its founders. He met up with us at the location where the club used to exist before its closure.
It was quite cheap,
Yeah. I mean,
quite isolated, and it was ruined. So there was nothing like floor like this. There was nothing here. It was looked horrifying, you know.
Everything was made by themselves. Like the guys, they had not any like investors, like sponsors or this kind of thing.
Because it was the only way, you know, if you got no money, so you need to do everything by yourself.
how did it happen that it got shut down? Sorry.
They were watching for a year at everything what was happening here, like these hungry some people. Everybody face to the floor, like that's what they say.
It represents the relationships between rave culture and society.
It was heavy to hear Sergei's recollection, but I feel hope seeing how he's still pushing through and continuing to flourish creatively. Rabitsa has definitely left an empty space for the whole community. Andrei Algorithmic is a young entrepreneur and owner of Powerhouse, a venue positioning itself as a cultural hub. He invited us to Powerhouse to talk about the issues he faces and how he's been able to overcome them and enjoy some rare longevity.
That we run for 5 years already. So this is quite a lot for Moscow, actually.
Why do you say that?
Because like venues like getting closed like in a year and a half. So
And like with other clubs closing and some of them violently, how do you avoid something like that?
it's completely different. It's not a techno venue. We don't have any techno parties here. It's more like educational venue. It's like
So-
bring you all the types of music, starting from jazz, ending with the ambient. And if you have problems with the government, we always show them that we're quite useful here. Like we're really bringing something cultural around here. As looking forward for it, I'm really looking forward to more people to come just to see like the cultural points of the city, which music is one of the biggest actually here.
After Rabitsa closed, I wanted to ask Nadia and Andrei what other spaces are available to the community.
After that, like so many events of Rabitsa were taking place in Pluton, right?
Yeah. We feel them as a part of the big community, and what they're doing is a good job.
Speaking with Andrei really helped me understand the climate here. Clubs that can position themselves as cultural institutions have a better chance of survival. It's clear that venue closures and crackdowns are a key issue facing the community. Next, I wanted to pick up the conversation with some of the artists who've been actively growing their scene at a grassroots level. A-Fruit is one of these figures, and I'm really excited to see where she'll take me.
So this territory called Niidar is the former factory, and that's a good example of what's happening to former factories in Moscow. So they are offering spaces for rent for really cheap.
Oh, amazing. Did you throw parties here?
It was usually like a closed event. The problem with Moscow is that the city is very commercial. The first question which we get when we asking venues to make parties there, how much money will you bring? Like how many people will come? When you start, you cannot guarantee that there will be like 500 people. First, that we need to build the image, positive image of electronic music scene, of artists, of parties. We need more places of different kinds of music.
Pavel, aka Butt Techno, is one of the most successful and known Russian techno producers right now. I wanted to understand his background in music and hear about his journey within the scene.
I started to play in a band like 8 years ago or something, and we gathered like once in a month, and it was easier for me to like use instruments and make something every day. If you just like it and you have passion, I don't know, you do it every day. And then I just bought turntables and started to practice.
I like
I've seen Ildar. He introduced me in
It looks
this.
like very easy approach, so I like it. So I bought the turntable, so I like the scenes.
No.
And then I watched some tutorials, and now I'm one of the most famous techno, like producers.
No way.
Yeah, like
in
talk us
Moscow,
through
so
it.
it just-
Pavel represents a rare thing in Moscow. An artist who has successfully transitioned through the local scene and gone on to gain recognition on the international circuit. He proves that passion and talent can shine through, but so far his story remains a rare example. He introduced me to his friend Ildar, who is the founder of the label Gostvuk and Knee Club, really the only underground music venue in the whole of the city.
We started with home parties, and it was firstly like 50 to 100 people, then more and more and more and more. We had some experience of doing kind of parties and music events, which faced the hardcore reality quite fast. Like
What was hardcore?
money
What was so hardcore?
money ended before we started. So, we were talking to our friends like, hey, so this is it. I think we are closing, and everyone was no. Like, where we gonna go? How you can know?
We just imagined that
Yeah.
what will happen if it's closed, like where to go, where to do parties. It's a nightmare for me.
Yeah, I think it's just the support, of community, of the people who are around.
Who needs this place?
Yeah, who they just ready to come and to give the money, to help with this
Because they want to
finances
protect
and
it
stuff.
as well. 4 years, pushing on, people protecting this.
Surviving, we call it.
Yeah. That's the word.
This is the survival birthday.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the survival? What can we expect from the survival birthday?
No, I think tonight it's gonna be much less experimental. Tonight we want
Less experimental or more experimental?
I think tonight less experimental. No?
Should I play like trap or something? Yeah. I want it.
Ildar made it clear that he too faces a number of the issues we've encountered, but it was amazing to experience what the survival of Knee meant to the scene firsthand. My trip is coming to an end, and I'm only just beginning to understand the complexities of Moscow's music scene. But from the conversations we've been having, it does feel like two clear themes have emerged. First, there is clearly a negative perception of underground club culture within the wider Russian society. Second, the community needs more venues to guarantee the longevity and infrastructure required to change attitudes. These two themes are clearly connected. As Natasha said, underground music culture needs to be fully acknowledged as part of Russian culture. So, what are the next steps? We'll work with the community to design and invest in a project that can offer long-lasting support to the scene and hopefully change the negative perceptions. We'll be back in a few months to document the results of this collaboration. It's going to be a long and complex journey, but we couldn't be more excited to see what comes of it.